What's up, everybody? Paul here from the Hoops Crew, and despite the fact that we've only had 2 games this week, less than a quarter of what we would get in a standard round of football, we've still got an obvious contender for Nuff of the week, and it goes to none other than not this guy. This guy and his band of fans. So we had the Port and Hawthorn game. It was an absolutely classic match between two teams that threw everything at each other. It was hammer and tong. It was an amazing match to watch. And also, quietly as a Geelong fan, I'm pretty stoked for the fact that the Hawthorn's knocked out, because there's still a little bit of pent-up trauma there that we need to work through. And some point it's going to need to be forced upon me. But while we can continue to dodge playing the Hawks in finals, and the only scenario this year that would have played out, given the events of the first week, ends up being the grand final, not ready for that. I'm okay with them being knocked out. I'm okay with Port getting a little bit battered. I'm okay with the fact that Port has an amazing record against the Swans. If we can do the job on our end, that bodes potentially really well for the Cats. But let's not get too carried away. There's a whole range of predictions and all those sorts of things that still need to come down the line. So stay tuned for all of that in coming episodes. In coming days, we'll have the video up on the channel for people to check out my preliminary final predictions video. But let's stick to Nuff of the week. And before we dive any further into what James Sicily, Sam Mitchell, and the team has done, let's get a word from our sponsor.
The Hoops Crew Media Network is proudly sponsored by Cyril Cook Florist, established in Geelong since 1915. Visit their website at www.cyrilcookflorist.com.au. That's Cook with an E. Give them a call on 035 222 2244, or mention the Hoops Crew to get yourself 20% off your next in-store purchase when you visit them at Shop 12, 11 Leather Street in Breakwater.
So at first, I did want to and potentially consider dunking on Ken Hinkley for some of his antics after the game. It's not a great look. And Ken, you're not watching, but I guess Port Adelaide fans, and you copped it from me last week. I understand there's a lot of emotion tied up in this match. There was a whole litany of different factors behind the week that Port had endured, from the hiding that we dealt them in the qualifier, to Jack Ginnivan's social media antics, to all of the noise around Ken Hinkley and his future. But I will just say, Ken, it wasn't great. I don't love your actions. I don't think it's worthy of the $20,000 fine that you've received, and the AFL copping a little mini nuff here along the way as well, because he didn't make contact with a player like Jason McCartney did. He didn't use abusive language. He didn't vilify anyone like Clarko did. There's none of that. He's just pointed out that, hey, Jack, you made some comments on social media about jumping straight to the prelim, and that this was going to be kind of nothing. And enjoy your flight home, champ. I actually get a whole lot of chuckles from it. I think it's brilliant, and it's a very respectful way to respond. The problem, I guess, around the timing, and before I really kind of dive into the Hawthorn side of things and the conduct from Hawthorn, Luke Bruce was trying to get chaired off, and that continued on. The timing of it wasn't great. We're meant to be paying respect to someone who's done something extraordinary. 300 games, even in this day and age where there's more and more players that are achieving the milestone. 300 games in this game of football is a very, very hard thing to achieve. And that moment kind of got taken from him a little bit, which I think was really poor by Ken, but also the Hawks as well, specifically James Sicily. And again, more on the Hawks soon. This is not worth a fine. I genuinely believe he needs to get a little slap on the wrist, maybe even a suspended one. But a suspended fine, I mean. But it's ridiculous that he's actually copping a fine for this, as far as I'm concerned. Anyway, that is what it is. Let's focus on this guy and his antics. James Sicily was a champion for the Hawks during that match, put in an incredible effort, and I understand was feeling incredibly heightened because it was a high-stakes match. You've come out on the wrong side of the ledger. You had the opportunity to win it for your team. You missed, didn't work. Things didn't work out from there. I don't blame him for them losing, despite the fact that he missed that shot. He gave them a chance with everything that he'd done beforehand, and in this case, things didn't work out. And I feel really sympathetic to him in that regard, as much as a Geelong supporter can feel sympathetic for Hawthorn, anything related to Hawthorn. What bothers me, and I referenced Luke Bruce a moment ago, is that, okay, Ken got under your skin with a comment and you are the captain and you're trying to defend Jack Ginnivan. Well, Jack, you probably shouldn't have put the tweet out in the first place. I know, and I'm firmly of the mind that there was no intent behind it. Like, he was trying to be light and fun and games, because if they got over the power, then the Swans were the team they were going to play. And I think that's all it was rooted in. I don't think it was designed to antagonize the opponent. But Jack, you can cop enough for being an idiot and giving Port some ammo, especially off the back of an 84-point loss. They're going to be looking for anything to motivate their team. But James Sicily, you cop the major enough here, as does Sam Mitchell, for the antics that went after this whole debacle in the first place. You're meant to be cheering off your great mate, the champion of your club, the first rookie-listed player to ever reach 300 games, and you're still mouthing off all the way. Like, it was just pathetic from James Sicily. And I guess I say this as someone who's not a Hawthorn supporter, and so is only being able to base my comments on the interactions that I typically see between Geelong and Hawthorn. Beyond that, it's anything else that kind of bubbles to the top. And why do stories about players bubble to the top? Usually for not so good news, or they've kicked goal or taken mark of the year. James Sicily can be a bit of a hothead at times, and he can lead with his emotions, and that's brilliant in a whole lot of respects. But it's also gotten him in trouble. It's gotten him suspended in the past. He's given away free kicks. He's given away 50s. He's done all sorts of ill-disciplined things that have cost his team over the years. And while I think a lot of that has exited his game, it didn't exit this moment, and it got the better of him. And it ruined a moment for a teammate. And for me, yes, Ken acted in a way that was inappropriate. He acted in a way that was childish. He, as Sam Mitchell said, he acted like someone who's a kid and not someone who's, well, Sam called him 60, like the 57-year-old that he is. I believe it's 57. Sorry, Ken. It's 57 or 58, so I'm doing you a solid here. You got so wrapped up in that moment that you completely lost sight of your teammate and what that moment meant to him, despite the fact that it was a loss. You should have been cheering him off. It should have been celebrated. The Port Adelaide team, and including Ken, came over to celebrate what he'd achieved. They were paying respect. Ken led them over there. I saw him in the footage. Like, before all this, he's kind of gathering the players and trying to marshal them over to form the Guard of Honour. He was just as much of a part of this as anyone else. And despite the antics that came afterwards, you got so transfixed by what Ken had done and the fact that the Port players were then kind of having a bit of a chuckle about it, that you made yourself look like a fool. You couldn't self-regulate in that moment, and you look like an idiot. And then for Sam Mitchell afterwards, and I don't have a picture for Sam Mitchell to come up here, so I'm just going to continue with the James Sicily one here. For Sam Mitchell afterwards, no, I'm not going to talk to Ken. And it's an old guy who's 60 years old talking to a young kid. Like, Jack's a big boy. Jack makes decisions to go drink before or go out to restaurants, public-facing restaurants before a final. Jack goes to the races before grand finals. Jack tweets out comments that could only be taken by the opposition you're going to play in the more immediate term, in a kind of piss-takey, smart-ass kind of way. Jack makes dumb decisions. And so Jack needs to think a little bit more about the way he behaves. There's been a lot of things that people have loved about Hawthorn's conduct this year, the way they've kind of carried on, the way they've done their selfies, the way they've celebrated, and they've had a great time. And it's been awesome to see, despite the fact that I hate Hawthorn as a club. It's been really entertaining, and I've loved it. And Jack Ginnivan has been a major part of it. And in a lot of ways, he might have even kind of helped to really set the stage for this culture they're building. And I do love it. It is entertaining. It's modern. It's fun. It's exciting. There's energy. It's great. It's not what we've come to expect for many years, which is ultra sanitized, PR'd through into oblivion. Like, it's human, and I like that. But also, Jack put something out there that fired up the opposition, that offended the opposition, and they used as motivation to beat you. They did so, and then they just fired back. Don't have a sook about it. Look within your own four walls and go, should Jack have put that out there? Should he have given him the ammo? And even, in all of that said and done, you go, okay, well, I need to pay respect to my mate here who I'm cheering off. And he lost sight of it. And Sam Mitchell came in to defend them all. Now, I do respect a captain who defends his players. I respect the coach who defends his players and his captain. But both parties got really carried away. And they didn't need to. They really didn't need to address it. Go, look, I don't think it was appropriate by Ken, but we also gave them fuel. End of story. And maybe we won't do that next time. But instead, you soaked up a storm. So what I'd encourage anyone who's affiliated with the Hawthorn Football Club to do right now is to let the pain sting, and it's going to, and that's normal when you lose a final. And hopefully, as a Geelong supporter, we're not on the losing side this week. But if we end up losing to the Lions, let it sting, let it sink in, make it hurt, let it hurt, and then smash the door down when you're on the track next year. And when you see Port, bury them. It's all you can do. Let your football do the talking. Don't complain. Don't whinge. Don't sook. Don't moan. Because in the end, when you do it, you just look like an idiot. You look like a Nuff. And so that's where we're going to wrap things up for this entry of Nuff of the Week. Thank you very much for tuning in and checking it out. I'm sure as a Geelong channel, there's lots of people tuning in who either hate the Cats, because maybe you're a Hawthorn supporter who stumbled onto this, or you're a Geelong supporter who loves the Cats, hates the Hawks, and you're really on my side for this one. So I'm sure the comments are going to be incredibly respectful. And thank you in advance. Anyway, that's where we're going to wrap things up. If you enjoyed it, please make sure to check out all the content on the YouTube channel. Heaps of stuff from the chaps, from Ben, from myself. There's lots and lots of content to go check out. And while things continue to push on for the Cats through the finals, we're going to continue to deliver. And of course, the women's team are doing their thing as well. And there's lots of content around the AFLW Geelong team as well. You can find us on Patreon. Go check that one out. You can sign up. We've hit our 30th patron this week, and that is very exciting for us. It was one of our milestones that we wanted to hit this year. We've done that. Thank you very much to everyone who's climbed aboard and enjoyed what we're producing, that finds value in what we're producing, and we hope you stick around through the rest of the finals and into season 2025 as well. You can find me at Paul James Games on socials. Of course, you can find the Hoops Crew on socials as well. And until next time, remain Geelong strong. Thanks a lot for watching, and I'll see you later.